Hi, welcome to Knits Up. I am Mindy, your hostess, otherwise known as Knitter CNY. You can find me on Ravelry as Knitter CNY. You can find a podcast group over on Ravelry. You can find a Facebook group for the Knits Up podcast. You can also find me on Instagram as Knitter CNY. The CNY part, if you haven't ever seen the show before, is for Central New York. I live in the Syracuse area. I'm in my late 40s. I've been knitting since I was in my 20s. And so that's a long time. Today it's jam-packed. One of my New Year's resolutions was to record a podcast at least once a month. This one's going to be long, just so you know. I did an audio update maybe a couple weeks ago, and so I got stuff to show you. I've got acquisitions, I've got knitting, I've got crochet. First thing is I am wearing this is an old Ysolda Teague pattern, and I think I got the lace patterning wrong. I cannot remember what the name of it is, but it was in the book that she was selling at Rhinebeck like in 2011 or something like that. It starts with an I. I cannot remember what the name of it is for sure, but you'll find it on my projects page probably. It's made out of alpaca. It's very warm. I'm wearing it backwards. It's just a triangular shawl with a lace pattern in it. So it kind of looks like that. Not really a great picture, but you can kind of see what it looks like. I may be taking off as the podcast goes on because I'm in the late sunlight. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon, so I'm trying to catch the light coming through the picture window, recording on an Android phone, yada, yada, yada. You know the drill. So I am going to start with, I think, what I've finished. So let me bend down for a second. I'll be right back. I have socks. This is a completed pair of socks. This is Regia digital print that I think I cast on like 2017 or 2018 and had part of a sock done. I have 6 pairs of socks in progress. Now it's only 5 because I only have the first sock of each pair. So this was set number 1 that's done, so that's good. And I will put it on. I actually found a sock blocker. I'm very excited. You should be excited too. And this is what it looks like when it's on a sock blocker. It's a cuff down, heel flap, gusset, wedge toe. Not really that exciting. This is a 6-ply yarn, so it's like a sport or DK weight. So they went pretty fast once I actually put my mind to it. Sorry about that, doing a project. Works in progress. We'll start with pair of socks number 2. So I have 1 completed. You'll be very excited. Sorry if I'm wobbly. The phone is on a table, so we're kind of working with that. This is a Patton's Croy mill end that I got in Canada 2-3 years ago. It'll be 3 years when I went up to the Big Ball tent sale at the yarn outlet store that is in Listowel, Ontario. I did not buy this at the outlet store. I bought this at a place called Cambridge Fibers that is right next to Len's Mill Ends in Cambridge. So I recommend them. They, I think, do some spinning and maybe some dye work for yarn inspirations. They might get stuff on wholesale. It was literally a mill end, so it was Mexicali stripes, Patton's Croy. It's a 75-25 mix. I used reinforcing thread for the heel and also for the toe. It's really big. Patton's Croy knits up extremely large. I wound off after that sock this much yarn. because I wanted to be to the same point when I started my second sock. So this sock starts on purple at the top. Again, it's a top down heel flap gusset kind of sock. And this is at the same point. It starts on purple. It has the little lines. It goes to orange. If it's not perfect, it's going to be darn near it. And I'm using, I think these are Hiya. Yeah, these are Hiya Sharps 2.25 millimeter US 1 double pointed needles. So the other sock I think was 3.0 millimeters for the leg of it and 2.75 millimeters for the foot because I wanted a denser foot so it would wear better. And my hair is just doing whatever the hell it wants to today because they're static cling all over the place. And then, so I'm working on that. The next thing I am working on is also knitting. This is very exciting. This is the wrong side. This is the right side. I'm doing something a little different than the pattern. The pattern starts down here. And you can't really see it because it's waving in front of there. But it starts down here with a few stitches. It goes up. It's all garter stitch. The yarn changes color. I'll hold it out so you can kind of see it. You get a better idea. It's an asymmetric shawl. The shawl pattern is free. It is called the Cityscape Shawl. And I'm trying to think who it's by. Benjamin Matthews. But it's a free pattern, the Cityscape Shawl. It takes 4 skeins of Colorscape yarn, which is a red heart color changing yarn that looks like that. And then I have another skein of it that's the contrast skein. I think it's Barcelona. Yeah, Barcelona is this color. And then Mykonos. I'm mispronouncing that horribly. I know it's someplace in Greece. They're all named after cities. But I got this on clearance at Hobby Lobby. I've used 2 of the skeins almost and gotten to the halfway point. So what this does is it starts out little. It gets asymmetric. The center double decrease in the middle that I am doing is one that's very visible. I'm doing purling on the back side. I'm not doing a straight garter stitch, so that line is very visible. I wanted it to be that way. This yarn I think is 100% acrylic, if memory serves. Okay, it's a number 4 weight. It is, oh my goodness. Yeah, 100% acrylic, but it's machine, wash cold, gentle cycle, tumble dry low, do not bleach. It's sort of a roving type of yarn, so it's fuzzy. It's gonna be fuzzy. That's fine with me. So I'm working on that. It's a size 10 needle, which I think is a 5.5, nope, yep, 5.5 millimeter. And then we're gonna switch to crochet. So I am working on crochet, and this is what I'm working on. It's going to look odd because I am a size 3 to 4X, so depends on what it is. And this is meant to be loose. It's not meant to be a tight fitting garment. So this is the yarn. Now it looks really different in the middle. Trust me, it's actually not. Well, it kind of looks like it is, but it might not be. It looks brown from far away. You come up to it, those are the actual colors. It's, I think Sticks and Stone is the colorway, and it is the Delaney cardigan that is on a Craftsy/Blueprint class called Easy Crochet Cardigan. I think it's a free pattern, maybe someplace else, but I'm not really sure. Originally it called for Lion Brand Woolies, and I had this Karen Simply Soft Paints I've had it in my stash forever and a day. And I was like, I'm making myself a sweater. It's easier. I think I started this 2 weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Crochet goes faster than knitting. Who knew? Everybody else out there that does crochet is now yelling at me. Of course it goes faster. So I'm up on the armholes. This has to be, I think, 10.5 inches. It's a deep armhole, 10.5 inches, and then there's some shoulder shaping. But the nice thing about this is I've never crocheted a garment before. I've crocheted blankets before, and blankets, it's not really that big of a deal if your gauge is off or something. Now my gauge is a little loose on this, but that's okay. It's only off by about an inch. And just a professional tip, not really professional, but don't measure. If you're going this way, don't try and measure your crochet going this way because it'll stretch. And I thought I had 5 more inches on this way than I did the other way. It's weird because it stretched to be like 5 inches longer. I know that sounds really goofy, but somehow it did. So I, measured on the floor the right way, and I was only an inch off for what the final finish measurement should be on the back. So that's not so bad. 2 inches more is not going to kill me. It'll look fine. So I'm almost there. And then there's 2 fronts and 2 sleeves. I believe there's like 1 button for it, maybe. But the size hook I'm using is a size H, and this is a Clover Soft Touch hook. It's a 5.0 millimeter hook. It's really flat. I hold my hook like a knife, knife grip, they say. I do not hold it like this, like a pen grip. I'm left-handed too, so learning anything, knitting, crochet, anything has been sometimes difficult for me. I used to crochet poorly. They used to laugh at me, my knitting group, because when they saw me crochet, I was knitting with a crochet hook. Don't ask. So I took a class. I learned how to crochet properly. This hook and that Simply Soft yarn goes really well together, and it works really well. The other crochet thing I'm working on is and yes, the colors really are this color. You're so lucky. This is a granny square blanket, but it's a granny rectangle. The colors came like this. It's a color changing yarn. It is Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel. It was on sale for $1.74 last summer. I bought 2 cakes of it. I got through the first cake. I'm starting on the second cake. Also a tip, my cake ended with blue. The next cake began with blue. So it was good for not having a stark transition. This just changes. And these colors, it's called snow cone machine because these are the colors that you would get for snow cones. Like the neon, the orange, the purple, and the grape, and then the blueberry, the blue freeze. So they're really bright, obnoxious colors. But this is going to get washed up once I'm done with it. And this will go to the nursing home where my dad lives, which is about 5 miles away from where I live. And they use this in their houses. They give them to residents or something. And this winds up being small enough to be a lapgan, or they can use it like a shawl for the ladies or whatever, or just, a little blanket to put on the end of the bed, whatever. Then I'm going to take this off now because it's getting warm. The other thing I'm working on is I tried to work on the Game Day Knit Along by Marley Bird. I tried to crochet. I knew that project wasn't going to be for me. The design was beautiful, but when I saw what it was going to be, I didn't want it. I figured out pretty quickly that project for some people would be great. It wasn't going to be great for me. So then I decided I was going to work on Marley's project because I assumed it was a cowl. I wanted to learn how to do a Latvian braid. I did did I do 2x2? Oh, I did 1x1 ribbing, which will kill you every time. I did the Latvian braid. It's kind of loose, but that's okay. And then I did the stripes up to here. I did 3 stripes of contrast. What I'm using for the main dark color is Patton's Croy Classic Wool Worsted in the navy colorway. For the contrast, I'm using yarn I bought last year at Tuesday morning. That's a variegated yarn that's 100% wool, made in Turkey. It's a worsted number 4 weight, and it's variegated. So this is a free pattern, by the way. I'm not going to finish the cowl the way that they did. What I'm doing is I'm using this, and this. And then I found a Fair Isle cowl that is on yarnspirations.com that has like the Norwegian stars. And I think it was like one of those Pantone patterns where they want you to use all different colors. Well, I'm just going to use the color changing yarn for the flower, the Norwegian stars part of it. And I figured out you have to count the number of squares to figure out, how big your motif is from the chart. And then I figured that out. I think it was 16 stitches. Cast on for this was 130. So then I have to decrease 2 stitches, I believe. Let's double check. Alexa, what's 128 divided by 16?
128 divided by 16 is 8.
Okay, so 8. Alexa says it's 8. So I have to decrease 2 stitches. Then I'll be down to 128. Then I can do this cowl. I can use that pattern. And then I'm going to repeat the striping at the top, and I'm going to do the Latvian braid, and then I'm just going to do the ribbing again. I may do 2x2 ribbing because the 1x1 was killing me. So that's 100% wool. That'll go to somebody. I don't know who. Blanket. So I've got 2 knitting projects, 3 knitting projects, 2 crochet projects, and then I bought yarn. I was in Ollie's. Ollie's is a discount closeout place that's probably about 6 or 7 miles from my house. It's a chain on the East Coast. I don't know how south or west they go, but they get closeout things. They got this Bernat Pop. It's 100% acrylic cake. It is 5 ounces, 280 yards. This is this colorway. It shows up a little brighter than that, but that's okay. This color is Scarlet Sizzle. I've used this in the past as part of a sweater for my goddaughter. And so I bought 6 skeins of this. The reason being is these are usually pretty expensive. My Ollie's had them for $1.99. $2. So I bought 6 skeins because the blanket that I make, the Granny Square blanket, is actually a Bernat pattern that calls for Bernat Pop. The full-size Granny rectangle blanket is the all-for-one comfort blanket, I think is the pattern. If you look on my projects page, I've used it for a couple lap gans, so you can find it, the link there. All-for-one comfort blanket. It's a really simple, you do a chain and then you do granny stitches up one side and down the other of the chain, and then they tell you where to increase in the corners. Once you've done one round, it's really easy to memorize. Very, very simple. And the color changing yarn does all the thinking for you. This ends on the same color that it starts with. So I made sure that all the skeins that I bought had pink in the center, so they'd have pink on the outside, so I won't have to worry about cutting yarn or anything. But I've always wanted to make a granny square blanket. I may end up using this as a ripple blanket too. I'm not quite sure. Depends on how tired I get of doing granny square blankets. Okay, speaking of that, we'll get to that in a minute. I decided, like I said, I was using the Clover Soft Touch hook for what I was using. It's a very flat hook. That seems to work for me, but I decided I wanted to try the Prim ergonomic crochet hooks. So I sent to England through Amazon and paid $17.77 for 5 ergonomic crochet hooks. Now for me, I'm not sure if it's going to be a good fit or not. I tried to use the size H hook, which is the 5mm hook this morning. They only label their hooks with millimeters. You can barely see it, but it says 5mm. It has an ergonomic grip. It is a slightly flexible material. I've used the double pointed knitting needles before. The head of this is really nice. It's kind of a pointy head, so it works okay. It catches the yarn well. Since I have just sock yarn here, we'll kind of demonstrate. Chain you up something. So my slip knot might be a little small. Well, you get the idea. It catches pretty well. The head, if I compare it to the Clover, very, very similar. Very, very similar, so it works. The neck of this is a lot longer. It's bigger around. It is down here. I think part of the problem is I tend to get tendonitis, and I've had problems in this muscle before from work. So I don't know if these are going to work for me. If they're not going to work for me, I have a best friend that lives 2 miles away from me that is going to get a lovely set of crochet hooks. This set comes in 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, and 6 millimeters. So I think that goes from like an F to a J or an I. So they're kind of small. They do come in larger sizes as well. But if you're looking for ergonomic crochet hooks and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, I think it took 2 weeks to get them to me from England. They kind of give you a time range, and it came way earlier. I think if this is from the Quilted Bear, I think was the name of the place. But you'll see them because 5 crochet hooks, one of these crochet hooks on Amazon is going for $10 right now. So I thought a set of 5, even if I don't use the smaller sizes, it's less expensive. So, like I said, if I don't use them, my best friend will get them. And then this morning, I decided I've been seeing crochet haul videos lately. I've been watching, now that I'm getting a little more into crochet, I'm gone back and I've been looking at Bag O Day, Crystal, who's apparently been doing this for a long time, does a bunch of tutorials. She's really into it. She buys a lot of yarn. She gives a lot. She doesn't do giveaways anymore, but she does, donate yarn if she doesn't use it. She did that at the end of the year, so she kind of cleaned out her room, and now she's sort of buying more yarn. I think she's able to do that because that channel has income from I don't know how she gets her income. She's got her money to spend on her yarn. More power to you. And then I've been watching Penny from Penny's Creations. I think there's a middle part of that. She's very friendly, very sweet, very nice. And she just cracks me up because she's like, somebody that you kind of wish you had as an aunt or a cool friend that, was going, come to the yarn store with me, or, here, look what I'm working on. And she does a lot of crochet. And then I think the other person that I watched was Cinnamon Stitches. I watched a couple of her episodes, and she just launched a Try Me pack with Premier yarns that had some like orangey colors in with it. Um, she seems really friendly, very down to earth. I haven't talked to any of these people. It's just, I have a smart TV, but I have some of the apps don't work on it anymore. So you can either use an Amazon Fire Stick, or I have a Chromecast and an Amazon Fire Stick because I don't have cable. I have an antenna. I get enough stations that, I'm entertained. I don't need cable. So, with all that in mind, I was thinking about crocheting some more of these lapgans or blankets for the nursing home. So I'd heard that Tuesday Morning had the Karen cakes, and I really, really liked. I used a cinnamon swirl, and I can't remember what the other one was, sort of a fall color that wasn't that, but they kind of worked together to make a blanket. And it was really nice because with a little bit of wool, it's an 80-20 mix, and with a little bit of wool, it had a little more give. It was a little more forgiving on the hands than straight acrylic. So I picked up 2 of this, which is Karen Cakes. This color is called Rum Raisin. They all have like cake names. Looks like that. It was $3.99. So 2 of them is $8. And then the other color that I picked up was Turkish Delight, that I think is supposed to be like taffy colors maybe. There's a blue in there too. So 2 of that. So that was Tuesday morning, and I think I got one other thing at Tuesday morning because this was the only one they had. I would have bought more if they had more of it because I liked the yarn. It was nice. Harrison, which is 100% wool. I think it's made in China, if memory serves. Yeah, Farrell Yarn Harrison. It's 100% wool, made in China. They had it on sale for $249 for 173 yards. Sorry, 193 yards. So $250. If they had had anything other than just one, I would have gotten more because I can use that for color work or whatever. And then this other plaza had an Ollie's and a Joann's. I went in their Ollie's. Their Ollie's did not have any of the Bernat Pop. They did have Wool Ease Thick and Quick in the bird colorways. I want to say one of them's like Sparrow or Bluebird or something like that. And they're like, it's a very dark gray base with flashes of color in it. One's turquoise, one's orange, one's neon yellow, one's white, and I think there's a black in there too, and then there's a purple as well. I think the purple is Finch. Those earlier this week, I had some of those, and I had some other like chunky Hometown USA type yarns. My friend was making hats because her school was collecting hats for their students. So she's making a bunch of hats, and I was like, here, it can be out of my stash. So that's good. Couple weeks before that, cousin of mine was crocheting and put up the picture of her project. Dishcloth doily type thing, but out of kitchen cotton. So I sent a whole box of stuff to her, including the wheel of over 1,000 yards of like number 1 weight cotton, where they were the color wheels that AC Moore was selling last summer, and I still had it. I bought it for like $5 or something.